Well, hello and welcome to Soap Secrets. We are back and we're talking all things Holby with Victoria Wilson. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Hannah.
Okay, so big Fletch story, isn't there, this week? Again.
Yes. So last week, Holby sort of gave us the denouement, if you like, in the creepy Jeni saga.
Yeah.
Fletch's lover finally got her comeuppance for her part in. Basically, we all know now she's been grooming young girls for this sort of sex trafficking ring. Almost, it's gross.
Grim.
Anyway, as she was carted off by the boys in blue, finally. Fletch reassured his daughter Evie, who Jeni had managed to manipulate, that her ordeal was now over. Donna, however, lovely nurse Donna Jackson, played by the lovely Jay Jacobs, after her daughter Mia had become embroiled in the scandal and suffered an ectopic pregnancy, got very dark last week. Donna let Fletch know in no uncertain terms that things were far from over. She was fuming, to say the least. So on to next week, and it's the day of young Mia's checkup following her pregnancy trauma, and so she's in the hospital, but Donna vows to do everything she can to ensure that her daughter comes to no further harm. Obviously, as she blames Fletch and Evie for getting Mia involved in Jeni's late night parties, quotes, Donna, she doesn't want Mia anywhere near them. She doesn't want her talking to them. Evie keeps coming up on the ward, and she's like, stay away. She is incredulous. Here we see Donna almost sort of tiger-like, with this almost like this primal desire to protect her young. You can really see it. And although she's blaming Fletch, it's obvious that somewhere Donna feels like she sort of failed Mia in some way. So she's sort of goes full on overprotective, and all that does though is push Mia away. Mia's not a child. Goodness gracious, like all that she's been through, she's had to grow up very, very quickly. So that's what's going on there. But obviously in the hospital, at the same time, we've got Lucky. We've also got that story going on. She's just been brought out of her coma, but there's clearly something wrong, and she needs careful monitoring. Now that is Donna's job, but because she's obviously preoccupied with Mia, Donna neglects Lucky's care, and her condition sort of massively deteriorates. Her complete disaster is averted. And Donna and Mia later on are sort of able to, patch up their relationship and sort of come to some sort of understanding. Donna just says she wants to do what's best for her. And then sort of Fletch comes to talk to her and to deliver something of an olive branch. But I suppose we're wondering, can she be as agreeable with him, or is their long-standing friendship beyond repair? It's a shame watching those two, because they are the best of friends, and I suppose here we're used to seeing Donna as this Holby sort of dependable nurse and voice of reason, but in this episode we really see what it takes to push her to the limit. It is a side of Donna we haven't really seen before, and I suppose I have to say I quite like it.
It's a different side, a different dynamic, isn't it? It kind of mixes it up a bit when she's sort of a steady character, and suddenly, it changes, it mixes it up a bit.
Oh, make no mistake, she is raging. But then it's no different, really. We saw it with Fletch when it came to Evie and what lengths he went to protect his young. So Donna's just doing the same thing, really. So he has to understand. But it's just a shame because these two have been friends for so long, They are the sort of fish and chips of Holby, really. They just go together so well. So, yeah, it is just a shame that they're at loggerheads right now.
I mean, that's the big story sort of the week. But we've also, as with always, there's a kind of couple of other threads running through, isn't there? And Jack is also a part of this, because this is a storyline that's rumbling on.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, with Eli's pioneering and very expensive stent trial on hold due to funding, Jack basically becomes Holby's answer to Del Boy as she tries to obtain other suitable treatment on the cheap. In this episode, she meets Jo Fields. Now, she's a university representative who's assessing Holby's suitability for the proton beam therapy trials, which Jack obviously secretly hopes is going to work for her own brain tumour, which she was obviously relying on the stent trial for. Anyway, despite sort of Jack does her best to show Holby in the best light, but Jo's unimpressed, largely due to a series of mishaps involving Josh. Let's just say he's not as on his game as he should be. But I suppose that's somewhat understandable when you factor in that he's got 2 newborn twins in the special care baby unit. You know, he's just not focused. Anyway, he is sort of keen to redeem himself, so he turns on his sort of boyish charm and tries to persuade Jo to include Holby in the trial after what was the day from hell. I won't obviously give everything away, but yeah, it's not a great day for Josh. He looks like he might have succeeded, but obviously the question is, will it be enough to win over the formidable Jack Naylor? Jack's got this way of sort of making people know that she likes them, and we think Josh might have got away with this one for now.
Let's hope so.
No one likes the wrath of Jack, but
No.
yeah, she's just got this way where she's like, oh, okay, all right, you might have got a gold star. He might have got a gold star, but I'm not saying.
I'm not saying.
You'll have to watch to find out.
Exactly. And Kylie's love life, another little thread running through. It's in the doldrums, isn't it, this week?
Yeah, you know what? Kylie and Louis are just so sweet. I'm kind of loving this. It's just there in the background, and I love it. That Kylie and Louis are almost like Holby's love's young dream, as they're all giddy about going on their first date, bowling, of all places.
Old school.
Yeah, old school. Kylie believes that Louis loves her, but she gets an almighty shock when Mel, his girlfriend from weeks back, suddenly returns to Holby. Anyway, it's obvious that Mel still thinks that she and Louis are an item. Oh dear, Louis. Have you been stringing 2 women along? Yes, it seems. Anyway, scheming Mel she knows how to sort of like put a spanner in the works, that one. She decides to work a shift to try and drive a wedge between the 2 of them. And I suppose all you're sort of left wondering is, will Louis be able to step up and show his commitment to Kylie? It's just really sweet how it plays out.
It sort of feels like she might have her heart broken.
Well, we'll see. She's just got that look about her where you just want to give her a big cuddle, and Mel is just not very pleasant at all. So we are definitely Team Kylie, obviously, and Louis sweet, but he's just typical guy. Sorry, guys, he doesn't really know where his head is at. So in this episode, he finds out.
Right. Thank you very much. That is Holby. As if that isn't enough, we're going to move to Casualty. And Claire Rock is here to talk all things Casualty. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Hannah.
Now, you've got a word of warning for me, haven't you? Because there's a lot of blood this week. A lot of blood.
There is a lot of blood, and I know you don't like blood, Hannah. That's why I talk about it. And also, someone gets shot with a crossbow, which is all rather gruesome.
Oh, really?
Yes, I know. It's a hospital drama. What do we expect? I mean, they have to.
True.
It's set in Casualty, so there's always going to be an accident or an injury of some kind. But yeah, I was a bit. So it's a very interesting episode this week. So Matthew has PTSD this week. A young girl. So we start this episode with a big dramatic entrance. A young girl has been running around, and she's covered in blood, and all of a sudden Matthew's stuck in traffic. She runs out of a side alley into his car. She puts this bloody handprint on his windscreen, and then another car screeches up and whips her off. He obviously calls the police and everything, because this girl is running around quite badly injured, and then she got into a car, so it seems like she might be in trouble of some sort. Matthew, before he came to Holby, he had been a doctor in some of the world's hotspots, so he's used to this kind of medical trauma surgery and these sorts of things. And don't forget, it's only been about 6 weeks since we had that horrific train crash where lovely Phoenicia was impaled after the train hit the car, and Everybody's head hit by another train, and it was all really gruesome. So you don't just walk away from those kind of images in your head, and so it gives him a bit of PTSD. So when an elderly woman is brought into Casualty having been shot by a crossbow when confronting poachers, this thing is right through her body, this crossbow. I don't know if you watch Ghosts, really. It's a bit like Patton Ghosts when he has the crossbow through his neck. And she's got this massive thing, and she's all her vitals suddenly drop, and they have to perform emergency surgery. But he freezes because it's just all too much for him. And bad Stevie, reaches out to him. Now, what is Stevie up to? Because we know she sets Jade up with the drugs bust, and Jade left. We know she has it out for Ethan.
Yeah. Because
she blames Ethan for her sister Emma's condition, and but the pair end up in bed this week.
What?
Hannah. Yeah, I know.
My goodness.
She has had
There's
the
a
hots
fine
for him.
line, though, isn't there? There's a fine line between love and hate.
Well, no. Thing is, there's no good her really pumping information for Ethan about any of that stuff, because Matthew is a newbie like her. This accident happened 5 years ago, so he doesn't really know much about Ethan, does he? Except, no. But anyway. And then my favourite doctor at the moment is Rash. He's so lovely. And he sees a face from his past when the girl Farah, the one from the beginning when she ran into Matthew's car, comes into Casualty because she is very badly wounded. Only she comes in with her youth worker, Hafsa, and Hafsa says, she fell off her bike onto a broken bottle, and this is why she has this massive cut in her arm. Well, Rash is a doctor, and he's a casualty doctor, so he's seen most things. Yeah. And he says, but I can't find any glass, because, once you say I fell onto broken glass, they have to inspect the wound very carefully under a microscope and make sure they've got all the bits of glass out, and he doesn't find one piece. So questions. He does question her, and then it transpires that Hafsa is the younger sister of one of Rash's oldest friends. He didn't recognise her at first because last time he saw her she was in school uniform, etc. And he's persuaded to cover for Farah when he finds a knife, and it's a big knife strapped to her ankle just under a tracksuit. So he should really have called somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
He should have called somebody.
But it's Casualty, so of course.
I know. So what has he got himself into? And is his friend's sister Hafsa all that she seems?
Probably not, is what I'm going with.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I watch these soaps. In fact, I watch most things that aren't real, if you like, and scream at the television, no, don't do that, tell the truth, don't you? And they still don't do it, but I suppose that's what makes a good drama.
Yes, I think he's going to get himself way over his head.
Get himself into trouble. Yeah. Almost sort of a small thing turns into a big thing very, very quickly by just not saying something, and then you end up in much more trouble than but you they sort of lie their way out of absolutely everything because that very small inaccuracy at the beginning. It's just
Yes.
Right. Well, that is all from the hospital dramas this week, as if that's not enough. And we will be back next week to talk more Holby and Casualty. Between then and now, have a lovely week.